Hi, my name's Amy. I'm one of the practitioners here at Core Healing, and today I'm going to demonstrate how an online remote body code session works via email. So on the left hand side here, this is the body code system. So the body code system is a patented energy balancing system, and it's intended to help you uncover the root cause of discomfort, sickness and suffering in the body and the spirit. So this is what I use throughout the session. On the right hand side, this is where I document everything that comes up during the session, so you don't need to take notes because you are emailed a copy of the notes along with a copy of the recording. So today I'm going to be working with a lovely lady called Tracy, and the issue that we're working on today is sore shoulders, and it's both of her shoulders, and the scale of her issue is a 6 out of 10. So the body code is built on the premise that true health comes from being balanced in 6 different ways, and these are the 6 different ways. So we have energy. So this is about achieving emotional wellness and energetic balance by removing any damaging emotional and mental energies. We have circuit or systems. So this is about body system balance. So it's about achieving physical balance and identifying issues in the organs and the glands, muscles and the body systems and how they connect. Toxins. So these are identifying toxins such as heavy metals, free radicals, chemicals and other toxins that might be throwing off the body's balance. Then we have pathogen. So pathogens are about identifying fungal, bacterial, viral, mold and parasitic invaders. So those things that may wreak havoc on your body. Then we have misalignment. So this is looking at the structure of the body. So the bones, the nerves, connective tissues, so you can achieve structural balance. And then nutrition or lifestyle. So this category is about finding herbs, nutrients, exercise, lifestyle habits, those things that your body is asking for. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect in with Tracy's energy. So I do that by intentionally focusing on her. I have a photo of her on my other screen, so I'm going to take a moment to connect in with her energy. We need to remember that everything is energy, and that's how we're able to do these distance sessions. So just like I would call someone on a mobile phone, so for example, if I wanted to call Tracy, I'd need to dial in her number in order to connect with her, and then I know I've connected with her because I would hear her voice on the other end. What I'm going to be doing now is intentionally focusing on her, and then I'm going to use muscle testing to check if I've made that connection, just like I would if I called her on the phone. So now I have made that connection. So don't worry, we can't read your mind or anything like that. But what I'm using is muscle testing. So this is how I'm able to get answers from your subconscious mind and how I'm able to get answers from Tracy's subconscious mind today. So with muscle testing, if you've experienced kinesiology before, it's a form of biofeedback. So you might have seen a kinesiologist or been to a chiropractor where they press on your arm to get answers from your body. I'm doing the same thing, but my body's energy needs have been put to the side, and now I'm connected in with Tracy's energy. So any answers that I get during the session are coming from Tracy's subconscious mind now that I've made that connection. So with muscle testing, instead of using my arm, I'm using a method known as the falling log, which is where I'm pressing on the finger, and if it's a yes answer, then my finger will remain strong. If it's a no answer, it will go weak. So my hand is just out of shot resting on my lap. So as I'm working throughout the session, I'm asking the questions quietly to myself because I'm sensing the answers and the energy that's coming through with the muscle testing. So now I'm going to see if there's any underlying imbalance that is causing or contributing to Tracy's sore shoulders. So then the first thing that I do is find out if the what is contributing to her issue is on the left side of the chart or the right side. Okay, so we're starting off with a misalignment. Common misalignment. Fascial distortion. So with this, we can see that the body code can go on a bit of a maze. The subconscious mind directs us where we need to go. So there is a fascial distortion. So now with this, we have a little bit of an explanation. So fascia is the connective tissue that is found throughout the body. So during a session, sometimes we'll explain some of these things. Some of them are self-explanatory and we keep moving on so we can release and correct as many imbalances as possible in the session. So now I'm going to come down here to association. I'm going to ask if there's an associated imbalance that needs to be decoded. And there is. So this means that there's something connected with this fascial distortion there. Then we go back to the home page. So as I'm doing this, I'm asking muscle testing as I go. So if I was to have my hand up in the screen and I'd be testing as I'm going, my arm would get pretty sore. So that's why I rest it on my lap. Okay, so there's an imbalance with the spleen. So that's just some information there about the spleen. So with an email session as well, you can pause the video at any time to have a bit of read about that information. So now I'm going to find out if there's an associated imbalance. And there is. So I'm not correcting or releasing or realigning anything just yet because there's still connected things in there that's contributing to her sore shoulders. Okay, so we have a toxin of lead. So just some information on there about the toxin. So this one here, is it necessary to know any details about this toxin? We do need to know a little bit more information. Okay, so the form of this toxin is physical. So this was something from when Tracy was age 7. So if this was a Zoom live one, this is where we could find out a bit more information. So maybe Tracy would say, yeah, like what's the source of exposure? Sometimes we don't need to know that information. So I am actually able to move on. I don't need to know that information, but some people like to know those details. So I'll see if I can find out the source of exposure. Okay, so the source of exposure for Tracy was jewelry. And we have an associated imbalance. So we are going on a bit of a maze here, which is all connected in. So we have emotional energy here, specifically a trapped emotion. We have an inherited trapped emotion. So an inherited trapped emotion is one that Tracy received at the time of conception. So this has been passed down from her parents. And for this one, I'm going to use the emotion code chart, which is down the bottom here. So I'm going to find out which emotion it is and who she inherited it from. The emotion of disgust. So this was on her mother's side. So this originated on her grandfather on her mother's side. So a grandfather on her mother's side was originally experiencing the emotion of disgust, and then this was passed down onto Tracy. So with this as well, I can find out if an individual has children, if their children have inherited it as well. And Tracy's daughter has inherited this. Okay. So then I go back up to the association, and there's no association here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to release this inherited trapped emotion. So to release or correct imbalances in the body, we're using magnets, and we use magnets because they're a pure form of energy. So we're working with magnetic energy and also the ancient principles of Chinese medicine. So we're working in particular with the governing meridian. So this runs from the upper lip all the way over the head to the base of the spine. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be swiping the magnet over the governing meridian, because the process of identifying all these things from the body code, that's brought the energy to the surface, ready to be released or ready to be corrected or realigned. So this inherited trapped emotion, this emotional energy, so trapped emotions in particular are balls of energy. So they're vibrating balls of energy about the size of the fist, and throughout that process of identifying it, it's brought that energy to the surface ready to be released. And with an inherited trapped emotion, I'm going to be swiping over my head 10 times, because this energy is not just with Tracy, it's with whoever else has inherited it as well. So I'm working with more than one person's energy here. So I'm going to take a moment to release this inherited trapped emotion. And then I just check with my muscle testing to make sure that that one has been released, and it has. So now I'm going to go back up to the toxin. And just checking if there's an associated imbalance, and there isn't. So then I come down to my intention here, and I'm going to be doing the same thing with the magnet, and I'm going to be swiping 3 times. So I'm going to hold the intention to release the energy of this toxin from Tracy's body, but also at the same time I'm going to direct her body to remove the toxin through its normal elimination channels. And with the body code as well, sometimes there can be some recommendations in there, just some things to note. So for example, with this particular toxin, it says, note that physical support may be necessary to complete the detoxification process. So I'm going to release this one now. Okay, so that one has been released energetically. So that one's been released energetically there. So now I'm going to go back to the spleen, the imbalance with the spleen. Okay, so now we have an associated imbalance with the spleen. So there is something that is connecting with this spleen that we need to clear. So we have a compound emotion. We have a shared emotional compound here. So we have our trapped emotions, which is the one we had before with that inherited. So that was one emotional energy. Now a shared trapped emotion, this is a shared emotion between people when they experience an intense event together. So they've experienced the same vibrational frequency. Now an emotional compound, it's the next level up, which is where we can have two or more emotions that come together to create one ball of energy. So an example is if you have blue paint or yellow paint and they come together to create green paint. So with this one, Tracy has shared this emotional compound with somebody else, and there is more than one emotion. So I'm going to start by finding out how many and what emotions there are, and then I'm going to find out who she shared it with. So I'm going to come down to my emotion code chart. So there's two emotions in this compound. Oh, bitterness and shock. Now we find out what age this occurred and who she shared it with. So Tracy was age 6 when this occurred. So she shared it with one other person. She shared it with a sister. Now, if this was a Zoom session, we could dive a little bit deeper. But the good thing about the body code, and in particular emotional energy, we don't need to find out more information. So we don't need to specifically identify a person. We don't need to find out the situation in order to release it. So that way we're able to correct these imbalances and release this emotional energy without you being present for the session. Okay, so there's no associated imbalance with this one, so I can go ahead and release it. With this one, just like the inherited trapped emotion, I'm going to be doing 10 swipes because this is shared with somebody else. So she shared this with one of her sisters. So I'm going to set the intention to release this shared emotional compound now. Okay, so that one has been cleared. So now I'm going to go back up to the spleen. And there's no associated imbalance here. So now I can set the intention to reset Tracy's spleen. Okay, so that one has been reset. So now I'm going to go back up to where we started with the fascial distortion. So that's that connective tissue. So there's no associated imbalance there, so I'm going to correct this misalignment. Okay, so that has been corrected. So that's just a quick example of how the body code system works. So you can see that it can go on a bit of a maze. So we started out here, we had some associated imbalances that were all connected. So when we get, say, a trapped emotion, for example, that emotional energy distorts the energy field, which can then pull other things out of alignment and cause imbalances in the body. So it's all connected. So we had that distortion there, which was connected with the imbalance in the spleen, toxin in there, which was also contributing from age 7, and we had a couple of emotions. So with the body code, once we get down to the bottom and we make our way back up and there's no more associated things in there, we can go ahead and realign and clear those imbalances. Once we make it to the top, we can then start again with a new line and start again and ask the question again, is there any underlying imbalance that is contributing to Tracy's sore shoulder issue? At the end of the session, so basically we keep going to release as many imbalances as we can during the session. At the end, we find the scale of the issue, so we check in to see how it's rating. So I've just done a quick little example for Tracy there, so I'll check on the scale. So we've gone to a 5 out of 10. So then we check on processing time. So that's just an indication of how long your body needs to process these the energy and find a new balance. So at the beginning, your body has an energy balance. Now that we've corrected imbalances and released emotions, your body needs to find its new balance. So that's just the time that we specifically give for you. So that's just an example. You can see there that we can dive into the different categories and go deeper in there, and it goes on a bit of a maze from the 6 different categories. So it can be an indication, so like nutrition and lifestyle, it can give us some hints on what your body wants. So if there's a particular essential oil that your body needs, or if there's particular foods that your body is wanting. So it can go on a bit of a maze, and a lot of our clients just love finding out as much as they can about their body. So if you have any questions about the session or want to know a little bit more information, please don't hesitate to send us an email. You can also book a discovery call and we can chat about how the body code could work for you. And we look forward to working with you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.